there, it's Cindy from Studio Lou, and I know it's been like a couple weeks now and I haven't made a video. So I'm here with a little bit of a life update. This graphic is important for this video, but before I start, I'm going to just give a little bit of a disclaimer. If you are someone who has trouble hearing about I'd say non-gory, pretty basic medical procedures, then I suggest you skip this one. I won't be graphic. I just want to share a little bit about why I've been very, very quiet for the last little bit. So yeah, if you have to go, I get it. We'll see you next time. I'll be back actually super soon with a couple of new journals. So have a good day to those of you, my woozy friends. Okay, so I should mention, I totally forgot to bring my stitching that I've been doing this week, so it's not going to be featured in this video. But you know, I don't purport to be floss tube on a good day. So what is the date? It is May 26th, Wednesday. So if we like roll back time to like, not this last weekend, but the weekend before, the Friday preceding that week, I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I felt like nauseous, and I'm like, that's weird. You know, got up, had some water, and, you know, took a little bio break and like, you know, felt a little bit better. I went back to bed. Then when I woke up like at a decent hour in the morning, I still wasn't feeling great. And I had like a little bit of pain in my side, lower, you know, and being that I'm a woman, I thought, oh, it's that week. I know what's coming, right? We know, like we get these aches and pains when things are about to happen. So I thought that's what it is. It's period week, nothing to be concerned about. But then like the pain intensified. So my last pregnancy, I had a really complex birth. And since that time, I've had like more, I would say, intense monthly feelings from time to time. So I thought, still, I'm fine. You know, the day progressed and like the pain would kind of come and go. It wasn't too bad. It was also, you know, I don't know. I have a high pain tolerance too. That's another thing, is like I just am one of those people. So then as night rolled on, I thought, okay, I'll sleep on it. I'm going to feel better tomorrow probably. It felt kind of like gas pain or something. I'm like, I must just have eaten something, because I did eat like a bunch of broccoli, and I thought maybe that's what it is. Maybe I had too much, you know, because broccoli, cauliflower can make you feel like very gassy. So I'm like, that's what it's going to be. So then I went to bed and woke up in the morning and the pain was worse. I'm like, this is not good. So around, you know, 9 o'clock, my husband had to go out to get some milk, and while he was out, I have a 1-year-old son who's very rambunctious, and he was just kind of like jumping on me and not really getting that I just wasn't in the mood. So called my husband and said, I think this is my appendix. I'm pretty sure at this point, you know, based on my mother having had an appendix issue. I've always worried about it because it does kind of fall into like genetic, you know, patterns. And for whatever reason, much like my dearly departed gallbladder, I tend to get like every weird little thing my mother had in her like youth. So surely enough, we got me to the hospital. And because of COVID restrictions, I was just there by myself, and got admitted, got through the whole thing. But like the ER wait was a very crazy day. So I waited 12 hours in total between getting to the hospital and then eventually having surgery. About, I guess, hour 8, I reached the point where I was getting an ultrasound to take a look what was going on. They were pretty sure it was my appendix, but they just wanted to check for anything else, like a kidney stone or, you know, just anything. Like you don't just make assumptions, right, from the outside. So they sent me off to get this extremely painful ultrasound, and away I went. And then I got out of that, and you know, I knew something very definitive was happening because like the ultrasound technician was like very targeted about something. And while I was in there, I thought it's got to be like maybe my ovary or something, because she seemed to really be focusing in that area. And then like she was, you know, talking to me about cervixes and ovaries, and you know, we have to check this and that. And I'm like, okay. So then I got back, and then the doctor came to me like maybe an hour later after they got my results, or maybe 2 hours later. I don't know. All I know is our healthcare system is really suffering right now. So goodness me. That's all I'll say about that. But so I then got seen by the general like doctor that was in the ER doctor, and he told me it's definitely your appendix. It has ruptured. And what's happened is, so I brought this just to kind of show you what you deal with an appendix. Okay, so this little friend right here, this little, like I like to call him the danger noodle, this little stringy guy, that's your appendix. It attaches here to this thing, which is called your cecum, and it runs up the back of your large intestine, which is this chunky fella here. So basically my appendix ruptured, but it had some kind of like an abscess, which is the word for an infection that traps itself in a pocket in your body. And so what happened was it ruptured. There was an abscess, like let's pretend this is my abscess friend, and the whole entire appendix got trapped inside the abscess. Thank goodness. So this is one of those things where an abscess is basically like a pimple, and it saved my life. Why? Because what happens when your appendix ruptures, typically something called perforation happens, where you get these little holes that happen around on your breaking down appendix, and then it starts to just cough all this infection into your whole abdominal cavity and creates a terrible situation. So at this point they said it looks like this is what's happened, but we need to call a specialist in. We have to page him now to come in, because your case is not something that our general surgery can deal with. This is a very complex appendectomy. And I'm like, oh well, who am I if not a special case, right? That has been the theme of every medical thing I've ever had for some reason. I can never just be standard. So then what happened was, like, I don't know where this surgeon was located, but he was a very special guy. I did some like research on him later on, and he's like crazy. He's like, he owns a pharmaceutical company. He's like a crazy like researching doctor who, he's got so many accolades. I feel so blessed that I had him to take care of me. But when he finally got there, like a couple hours later, he came to me and he was immediately like frustrated. He's like, okay, so why did you take so long to come in? And I said, well, you know, I thought it was just lady pains, and then I went to bed, and then I woke up and I came in, but like I've been here for 12 hours. Like, I don't know when this thing got worse, but my pain has intensified throughout the day. I've been asking to get like painkiller every few hours, because yeah, I'm a hurting girl. So, you know, he was really upset by the fact that I had been waiting in the hospital for so long. He said, well, I'm going to go light a bunch of fires because we need an OR immediately. I'm going to do my best here, but I'm going to tell you right now, and this is where things get scary, because this is like, you know, you're just a normal person going into a hospital. You're like, oh, I've got this thing that's pretty typical. But then, like, I don't know, this big dark cloud comes along, and he tells me like the reality here, which is that if this thing has ruptured, you know, because it can change at any time. This thing is just a thing in your body that's doing its thing, right? And if it has started to spew infection into your abdominal cavity, like, this is the protocol. So we're doing laparoscopic surgery. So I've got 3 little tiny nicks, one near my belly button, and then one in 2 other places on my lower abdomen. Actually, I have another one up a little higher, but it's already healed up. They're these teensy bitsy little nicks, you know, because laparoscopy is tiny little incisions. They put a camera in, and then the tools work through these little holes, and they do their operation that way and pull things out with tweezers and stuff, right? It's honestly a godsend, because I know my mother, when she had this procedure, has this big long scar, and it was not easy to recover from. So that being said, he told me the worst case scenario so that I would know it, which was that if it had spewed all this infection and he couldn't get it out, things would get very complicated. So apparently your appendix, when it ruptures, it becomes like a sticky balloon, and it starts to kind of suck in any other organs, intestines, things it can get a hold of inside of it. So he said, like, if that happens, you know, I'm just basically going to stop. Like, I'm going to open up, stop, because I'm not going to be able to get all these things out of you safely. So then he told me that he would essentially then have to insert a bunch of drains in my body, in my abdomen, and I would probably be in hospital for 4 to 6 weeks just trying to manage infection. So yeah, that was pretty much a really hard reckoning moment for me. I just took a breath, because at this time when he's telling me this, I'm sitting in a hospital bed that's in the ER, surrounded by, you know, other people, like not as many as a normal ER because of COVID, but a lot of people, you know. So it wasn't a time that I could really digest this news. I was just kind of like, oh my Lord. So I'm texting my husband after he left to say, like, hey, I'll call you when I can, but like, I'm okay, but things aren't really looking that great. So then, you know, my doctor was like very terse about everything. He's like, I'll have a porter come get you in the next few minutes. So surely enough, you know, I ended up getting ported. They got me a room right away. The doctor was really upset that that hadn't happened. He also was very upset that I had not had my COVID swab, which to me was dumbfounding. Like, but you know, when you're a patient, you don't make the rules. You don't speak up really too much about things that don't concern you, unless you feel like it's impacting your health, right? So, you know, everyone is masked up, shielded up, all this PPE. I felt very safe, I have to say, the whole time in terms of like virus spreading. But like, they took me and one other person for some reason from triage, where you're like, everybody else was getting the long and the rapid COVID swabs before being sort of taken to the next stage of triage. But for some reason, me and this one other woman were like the exceptions, and they brought us after a certain time where we're sitting in the queue to be COVID swabbed directly into the hospital to go into, like, you know, registration and all of this. So I don't know why that decision was made. Like, I guess maybe just because they felt like, if this is an appendix, we better get her in. But I don't know. It was a weird missing of a crucial step, I think. So he said, you know, we need to get you COVID swabbed. I said, no problem. But then, like, that didn't happen. So I essentially just from that point got rushed through this whole process of being like boarded into my room, and I got that nice warm blanket, and, you know, then the next thing I knew, I was on a surgical floor where I was the only person there. Like, I thought I was in an empty hospital wing. It was crazy. And I mean, I guess I was, because the way our hospital's been broken up is they have, like, I think 8 wings. 2 of them are now ER, and one is an outdoor wing that they've added for the triage for ER to protect from COVID. The second, so that's 2 of them, and then one of them is a surgical floor, and then the rest is COVID. Like, 5 other wings are for COVID care, COVID risk, all of those kind of things. So yeah, it was really weird. So then myself and my porter end up in this empty, like what feels like an empty hospital, and I'm sitting there like, well, I'm actually in a bed by this time, and I'm just kind of laying there under my warm blanket waiting for the next step. And then much to my honestly comfort and joy at that point, I saw my anesthesiologist, who is the same anesthesiologist that I had for, oddly enough, my gallbladder removal and both of my pregnancies, where I had complications and things like that. Like, and she is like, I don't know how to explain her. She's probably about in her 70s, I think. And she's just this little woman who I think might be of Japanese origin based on her accent. And she is the kindest, most comforting, wonderful, intelligent person. When I had to have a C-section with my son, the entire time I was in the hospital, I was having a very complicated C-section where there was a doctor literally sitting on top of me trying to get my baby out, because he had just gotten very tangled up inside of me, which is why it got complicated. she was cradling my head the whole time and just talking to me and walking me through it. And so this time she did the same thing with me. She like gave me a very good understanding of what was going on, what she thought would happen, you know, talked to me about the risks and how they would mitigate those risks. And like, you know, we don't deserve medical people. We don't. They're like, these people, the empathy and the care that they exhibit, even at a time like this where I'm sure they're working off their feet. I'm not worthy. I honestly, it chokes me up to think about. It was just such an emotional experience that I'm so thankful for. You know, because I really went into this feeling like I possibly might not come out of it. Like, appendicitis that goes this direction can often cause something called peritonitis, which is like that abdominal infection. And like, a lot of people don't survive that and a lot of people get very ill from it. So I was just like, you know, it was a reckoning time for me. So that being said, she was really calm and wonderful. And so then away we went into the ice cold surgery room and I had surgery. So essentially, let's just do this. I'll show you what happened. I don't know how these arteries were treated, but I'm guessing that they were chopped off, and you know, this is what I have no longer say bye-bye to this friend. This is the appendix, and also it is the tip of the cecum. So the cecum, there is more modern medical research that basically says that when you remove the appendix, also remove the end of the cecum, because the healing is better. There's less chance for reinfection from any tissue left behind from this critter. So now this is no more. So I have this left. So I'm feeling today a lot better. For the last week, I have had obviously a lot of abdominal, like just tension, pain, soreness. I'm on a truckload, literally, of like antibiotics. Like, I'm on so much antibiotics, but tomorrow is my last day and I'm pretty thankful for that because I'm real tired of taking these gigantic pills. I took some pretty intense painkillers last week, which I'm not used to. I'm not someone who takes painkillers, but the drug that I was given is called tramadol, and it is an opioid, and I honestly needed it. I'm someone who, I've had surgery in the past, and I like didn't take my pain meds, and this time I took it. It just hurt, and I just felt like it was annoying because it made me sleepy, but like, I have a really hard time resting. I don't know, I just do, and it made me rest. I just rested, and I had asked at my wound appointment, which I go to every other day right now, to have my one wound requires some packing because it's a 2-inch deep incision. It's small but deep, so they have to do wound packing. I was told this week, thankfully, that it looks like it's healing up really well. I mean, only need to go every other day for maybe a couple more appointments, and then I can move it out to every 3 days. So, you know, that's going to take a bit of time. But what I can tell you is that I'm feeling a lot better. I'm motivated to go walk again, get back out. That's what I've been missing the most, is like my daily kind of nature walks that I take with my kiddos and stuff. Yeah, so that's the drama of the week, and I apologize if any of it was too dramatic. I'm trying to keep this very medically, like, you know, factual and not too emotional, because I know that it can be difficult for people. But yeah, so the only thing that I'm kind of left with is, you know, it sucks that like the appendix is so, it's like this little ticking time bomb. And you know, I was watching some videos about it, and they used to think it had no purpose, but now actually they know, they believe, because of medical research, that it actually plays a really big part in immunity. It apparently is full of C and T cells, which help to fight infection and better your immune system. But they also find a lot of good gut bacteria there, and they believe that one of its functions is to just, when you need it, like say you have some kind of a digestive illness, it will release that good gut bacteria that you need to kind of get your digestion back on track. So I am definitely going to be taking like probably weeks of probiotics after this. And yeah, I will grieve my little danger noodle, but unfortunately It could not stay, because once your appendix is angry, there's really no coming back from it. I asked a lot of questions about, like, you know, before I knew how serious it had gotten, like, if it was appendicitis, is that just an infection? Can we do something a little more like conservative in terms of like medicine, or, you know, could I try to heal it in some way? And like, no, once it is ready to go, it's gotta go. And actually, they used to just remove them when you were having other abdominal surgery. Like in my mother's case, she had her gallbladder removed. She had some infection in her pancreas, and they just electively took her appendix because they said, if we don't take it now, we're going to come back for it. Like, definitely. And I'm guessing it was showing some signs of wear and tear at that time. But now they're considering that when they do these other procedures, maybe not taking it electively, because it may offer a lot of immune help. And oddly, like there's like a research group I watched on the YouTube channel SciShow. They have a really good video about the appendix, and I guess a few years ago there was a research study done on the appendix and its usages and things like that, and they found that genetically, like, it has genetically, like, not mutated, but like what's the word, evolved. It has evolved way more than every other like organ in the human body, even in all mammals apparently, and it has different functions and forms in all mammals, and it looks different and stuff. It's an interesting, weird little thing. But yeah, so I mean, at the end of the day, I can't grieve the potential immunity that I've lost from not having this thing, because it was a ticking time bomb. So I know this was like a 20-minute discussion about my appendix, but I'm really happy that it's not the last that this discussion happened. I'm really happy I'm getting to have it, to be honest, because I was really scared that I might not be able to. So here's my little PSA for you. If you feel any kind of pain at all in your right lower or middle abdomen, or your right abdomen at all, just go get checked out. You need an ultrasound. You need it checked out. Same as if it's your kids, if it's your parents, if it's anybody that you know or care about. Don't play with it. Don't think it's something else, especially women, because like I said, I thought it was something else. And I know that it can be hard to judge these things, but I would use a couple of factors as your kind of definitives. Like, this isn't normal. Number one, can you sleep at night? Does it keep you up at night? If it does, that's abnormal. No matter what it is, if it's not letting you sleep, something isn't right, because that's your body saying like, no, we can't relax right now. And that is something I should have thought about, because I've had doctors say those things to me in the past, like, are you sleeping? Are you able to eat? Like, so that's the other thing is, like, if it seems to be getting worse and it's not going away, and you've never experienced that kind of thing before, like every month, for women, you know, you get some level of something. If this 1 month is very different and it's just not stopping, it's not normal. Something's wrong. Go get checked out. So yeah, that's my little appendix PSA and story. Thank you for listening to it. I will set my little friend aside here and I'll show you something else. So what have I been doing? I did spend the week in bed, most of the time anyway, the first week. This week I've been like up and at it a little bit more, and I've been like, I have revamped my whole studio. So I'll talk to you about it while I show you my latest tags from the Anbrook challenge. So this one was the Pekingese stitch, and this one was the little English paper piecing. So I finished both of those. I really love both of them. I seem to be using a lot of blue in this challenge, which I'm pretty happy about. So those are done. I haven't started this week's yet, which is I think it's a bullion stitch border, so I'm probably going to try to do some work on that today, because I'm splitting up my days between like resting. I've taken a week of vacation time this week because I felt like I needed another week. My company covers like the first week of illness, but second week I had to take some time off, but I'm totally okay with that. It's fine. That was generous anyways. Like, I mean, in terms of what the world offers us, right? I wish everybody had paid sick leave all the time, like that they could heal. So I did a lot of cross stitch on my frosted pumpkin stitchery Halloween town. I got a lot done. I'll show it to you in my next wrap up. But this is what I'm thinking I want to get into this week. I've been really interested in a long time about punch needle. So I had placed an order from Love Crafts because I needed a couple more skeins of yarn for another project I'm working on. And these were on sale, so I just grabbed them. It's a millward punch needle set and this little millward hoop stand. So I'm going to give it a try. I might work on it a little bit this week and see how I like it. I'm interested in it, I think, mostly from the standpoint of sculpture or like making little stuffies, but I have to get some monk's cloth. Other than that, last night I spent some time in my studio. Oh, and I was going to tell you what happened. So I finished the Wild Swans journals. I'm going to do walkthroughs of them later today. I really love both of them very, very much. I feel very good about being back at it and getting them done. But yeah, we had to do a bit of maintenance in the basement, my studio, which is this, I have a large basement and it's my studio. I've got I have a sewing area. I have we actually have a pottery studio in a room in the back of our basement. We have a big finished basement. And then I have like kind of a fiber arts and paper making space. So, you know, paper, books, all of that came to me in 2020. And so I just kind of set up a space. Like I packed up all my yarn. I set up a space to just make journals. And it probably wasn't in the best space ever because where I had my table, right behind it, like what you're looking at here, right behind it was our electrical panel. And so every time, for any reason, my husband had to like reset a breaker or something, I would have to move like this shelf of stuff, and it was so frustrating. I mean, but really, you know, what did I expect? You have to access your breaker from time to time, right? But I kept thinking, I don't want to move this all around. And, you know, for the times that I have to do this, well, so then we got a very hot week last week. Like the temperature just got up into the 80s. It was crazy hot. And, you know, me being post-surgical, I did not want to be in the heat. So we thought it's time to get the air conditioning turned on. Well, we installed this year a new thermostat, an Ecobee thermostat around Christmas time because they were, you know, they're really cool. You can save energy that way. You can control the temperature in your home from your phone, and it was great. But as it seems, there's an issue with it where like the heating works fine, but the cooling, like different signals have to be sent through the wire to the cooling, you know, part of it. And the thermostat is having issues with that. So we had to go get some groceries. You know, my husband's like, well, let's turn on the air. Then when we come back, the house will be cool. So we did that. We came back and the house was like 84 degrees or something. The heat had turned on instead. It was unbearably hot. Oh my God. So we immediately shut it all down, opened all the windows. I think I had an existential life crisis because of just the heat, because I'm not good in heat, period. But, you know, I got little kids and dogs and a bunny and like, you know, just stressed for everybody. So I turned on, we have a separate like floor air conditioner, and I set it up in my bedroom and brought everybody in there, and we just all cooled down and got our heads about us. And then we called a service appointment, but then luckily my father is like a technical genius at everything, and he can fix everything. He said, you know, why don't I just come up for the day and I will take a look at it. I will figure it out. He tried to troubleshoot it over the phone, but it's really hard to do that. So, you know, we basically just did our kind of socially distant thing. And I felt like, is it safer to have my own dad who lives like in the middle of like such a low infection rate place, and I know what my parents' habits are, which are like nothing. They don't do anything. And I know my own habits and everything. I know our risk factors better. It's probably safer to have my dad come than it is to have a stranger who probably goes into endless amounts of homes right now fixing air conditioners. And so we decided that that would be the smarter way to go. So my dad came, went to the basement, figured it out, got it all working. He found that a lot of people are having this trouble. So if you have like one of these newer e-thermostats like Nest or Google or any of these kind of things, I guess a lot of them have like things that don't automatically work properly. Like, you know, they're easy to install for the layman, but Like it was wired correctly and everything, but my dad, like, he brought a new thermostat up, like a normal one, so that's what's installed now, but he has since figured out the issue with the Ecobee. He had to like do a bunch of online forum, you know, discussion and things like that, so he's going to reinstall it when you know, next time we are able to visit, basically, not right now. So that got resolved and I felt so much more at ease. So that was the drama of my week. But yeah, I did get to finish these books and in my nice cool studio, which is great. And so when he came in, I basically was driven to revamp my studio, so I'm no longer having to be dealing with that dumb control panel and having to move all my stuff. So now I've got like basically my work area here, and then over this direction in between I have my sewing machine on my paper cabinet. So in future videos I'll be pausing when I need to sew because I don't have my machine back here anymore. I decided, like, my shoulder wasn't loving me pulling my machine all the time. I think it was stressing out my shoulder, so it's better that I'll just pause the video, do my sewing, come back, show you my sewn things, right? Unless I'm doing a sewing video and then I can set up a camera specifically for that. But so then I have kind of my paper sewing area, and then behind it I have my large, I have a drafting table that has my other sewing machine on it that I use for sewing fabrics and things like that, and yarn. And then beside that I've moved my couch that used to be right where I am now over there, so I've got this spot where I can sit and spin and you know, do whatever I need to do. So I've got like now two nicer, more functional spaces that are set up really well. I have an extra table to keep my supplies on beside me, which is going to be very nice, and things are just more organized. So that was kind of the benefit of all of this upheaval. So I think that's all I have to share. I know this is like a 40-minute video mostly talking about my sad appendix, but thank you so much for being here. And if you're new here, I just want to say thank you because I got a bunch of new subscribers while I've been I've been away. Normally this will not be the normal video, I promise. My wrap-ups and such are usually more about creative things like stitching, cross-stitch embroidery, knitting, crochet, spinning, and I do a lot of crafting with me, making art with me, tutorials like book making, journal making, junk journals, like all that kind of stuff, right? So that's the normal content for this channel. But yeah, I just really wanted to reach out and share with you what's been going on. So I thank you very much. If you sat with me for this long listening to me drivel on, then thanks so much. It means a lot. I hope all of you are healthy and well and taking good care of yourself, and I will be back, I think, later today to do walkthroughs of these babies. So have a wonderful day. I hope you are enjoying some beautiful weather where you are and that your seeds are sprouting, and we'll talk soon. Thanks again. Bye.